Life is heavy. And if you've landed on this video, there's a good chance that you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and just burnt out by the demands of life, whether it be work, the demands in your relationship, pressure from running a business, maybe your health's not in the best scenario right now. Whatever the thing might be, you're feeling that overwhelming heaviness that sits in the body. The way that I can describe it with the men that I work with is it feels like you're wearing a weighted vest. And the more you walk around with this weighted vest, the more tired you get, which makes the vest feel heavier. And you just feel kind of low energy and you're strapped down and kind of like it feels like, imagine you've got chains strapped to your body and you're trying to break free. But the more you do to try to push up against it, the further it seems to get away. So if that sounds like you, then you're in the right place, my friend, because in today's video, we're going to talk about how do we handle stress as men? How do we handle the pressure without collapsing, without checking out, without numbing out with addictions, without exploding at our loved ones? And we're going to dive into all of that today. And just to kind of kick things off, if you're wondering who I am, if you're new to the channel, my name is Ian and I'm a men's coach, facilitator, and I train men in the realms of embodied leadership, relationships, do a lot of nervous system work, a lot of training for men. You know, I was born with Tourette's and severe OCD, so I spent the first 25 years of my life stressed out, in constant dysfunction, addictions, and I hit a threshold in my life where everything was completely failing. My business was failing, my relationship was failing, I was burnt out. Everything was just essentially crumbling into the rubble that was the dumpster fire of my life. And over the years, I built tools and practices and protocols, and I've spent a lot of time training. How do we really find a deep, grounded, powerful, confident place as men in society? And that's what I teach on this channel. So if that sounds like you, I'm really excited for you to check out this video. So enough about me. Let's dive right in and let's talk about stress. The main problem isn't the stress in our lives. The stress is actually the really easy part to deal with. Okay, there's some practices and protocols I'm going to dive into, but the main problem, it's our relationship to the stress in our lives. The problem is, as men, a lot of us don't grow up confident, so we assign external meaning to our experience of life. We make it mean that we're failing. We make it mean that we're not good enough, that we're not valuable, that we're doing something wrong. We have a very harsh inner critic. And that can make it very hard to operate in society because that's the story that's spinning and running in the background, and it doesn't serve us at all. And this causes us to bottle everything up. We don't want to deal with it. We pack it all down. We don't know how to communicate it to our loved ones. And then it ends up coming out in very toxic ways. We explode in the workplace. We swear at people when we're driving, when there's traffic, or even in the relationship realm, we tend to get really defensive and explode and just dump our emotions on our partners, which creates a lot of disconnection, lack of trust. And overall, it's just a huge no. So what I want to dive into today is how do we learn how to regulate our nervous systems? How do we stop the patterns of self-sabotage? How do we actually start taking care of ourselves and our stress in a way that we treat ourselves like kings? All right. A lot of times, a lot of men have issues, myself included in the past, with discipline. But rather than seeing discipline as punishment, discipline is the ultimate form of self-respect. There is no greater sense of I respect myself, like putting myself first, treating myself like a king so that I can show up more powerfully in the world, so that I can show up as a better man, as a better husband, as a better coach, as a better lover, facilitator, whatever it is in your life that you are doing, leader and everything. Okay. So the second thing that I want to talk about is, so that's kind of the problem, right? That's the problem that we're facing. And the second piece is that we need to understand why this problem is so particularly bad. Typically, when it comes to relationships or businesses, it's not one big thing that tends to cause problems. It's the unprocessed stress that destroys the relationships. It's the unprocessed stress that over time causes us to lash out at a client or lash out on somebody or do something stupid like get really drunk and go get a DUI. It's never really one thing. It's usually we ignore the problem over a long period of time. And it just builds and builds and builds and builds. And we say things like, I'm fine, don't worry about it, I've got it. But meanwhile, inside, we're literally exploding with like frustration and anger and resentment, and we don't do anything with it. And then that inner critic is just spinning more and more. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, what the fuck? Da 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 da. It's basically just a hellhole of a spiral that is completely avoidable if we can learn how to do this. And really, and the solution, is it's about building nervous system capacity. And that's what we're going to dive into this next session. How do we build nervous system capacity to level up our ability to hold more in our lives? Because it's really easy to say, oh, work is really stressful, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of conflict in my relationship, and we tend to externalize the problem. We tend to blame something externally when meanwhile the problem is on the inside. So rather than trying to eliminate the stressors on the outside, we need to figure out how to work with our internal system first so that we have the capacity to deal with the external world. This is why there are men who can barely handle any external pressure. And then you have elite level CEOs and entrepreneurs that are calm, collected, and they work 15, 16, 17 hours a day, managing multiple companies. They've got relationships, kids. And how are they able to do it? It's because they've built themselves the capacity. They've trained their bodies and minds, and they take meticulous care of themselves. There is a reason that most of the richest people in the world are in incredible shape. All of the entrepreneurs that I look up to, they're all extremely jacked, they're shredded, they're endurance athletes, because the discipline that you find with taking care of yourself is that same discipline in order to build something successful. So there's a direct correlation there. So if you're somebody, you're out there and you're like, hey, I want to make more money, I want to make more of an impact in the world, I want to build a brand, well, then how you take care of yourself is it's directly correlated to the success that you're going to create in the world, right? And I've worked with men who I literally take them from overwhelmed, stressed out, they're reactive, they're disconnected from their partners, they're addicted to social media, or they're just scrolling dating apps for dopamine hits. And I've taken them from that state of feeling stuck and burnt out. And I've taken them to like, they're open, they're alive, they're energetic, they've got energy in their body, they're sleeping well, they're running, they're back on the routine in a matter of weeks. And the reason and how I do that is that we really have to start with the mindset shift, and we have to make a commitment. You have to make a commitment. You have to ultimately decide that as a man, I am not going to let stress dictate my experience of life. I'm not just going to blame external circumstances for how I'm experiencing my life. I run multiple companies. I'm growing a YouTube channel. I've got a brand. I facilitate men's groups. I run programs. I've got clients. There's a lot that I do. I have a thriving relationship with my wife, and we go on date nights, and there's a lot that I hold in my life. And the reason that I'm not tired, burnt out, and just dying all the time is because I build practices and routines, and I take care of myself meticulously. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke weed. I don't eat a lot of processed foods. I sleep in until 8 o'clock every day so I can make sure that I got minimum 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I don't drink sugar. I don't drink energy drinks. There's a lot that I don't do. Like I meditate every day. I exercise 5-6 days a week. I make sure I go outside. I take breaks. I do a lot for myself to build that capacity of what I'm talking about so I can handle life. Because that's what we want as men, right? We want to be able to do cool shit in the world. We want to be able to have the capacity to win in all of these different categories, right? I'm running my first High Rocks race in a couple of weeks while I'm building companies and doing these things and growing a YouTube channel. And there's like so much that I'm working on. And I realize that if this is my level of standard, this is the level of action that I want to take, here's what I want to achieve in the world, my level of self-care and nervous system has to match that, or else there's a misalignment. It'd be like saying, I want to run a marathon, but I only want to run 10 miles a week. I'm in Canada, so kilometers. It's like, no, if I want to run a marathon, I got to be running 60 kilometers or 60 miles a week. So the marathon feels easy. So it's all about alignment. It's all about decision. It's all about deciding what type of man do I want to be. This is really a conversation of identity. So when you're sitting there, like ask yourself, pull out a pen and a paper or pull out the notes app on your phone and just start to write down, like, what do I want out of my life? Because if you're just trying to, I want to be less stressed, it's really hard to stay consistent with that. But when you have a bigger mission in the world of why you need to be less stressed, why you need to take care of yourself, that becomes the defining why that's going to keep you consistent, that's going to keep you on track. If you're just like, I want to be more alert, it's not strong enough, it's not powerful enough, right? But I want to lead men. I want to be the kind of man that men would choose to follow into battle. If I were to lead men into guaranteed death, how would I have to show up? How would I have to operate in the world so men would trust me to lead them into guaranteed death? And that's how I choose to operate and live my life. So when I'm sitting around and I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym, man, I don't want to drink water, who do I want to be? That becomes the question. Who do I want to be? Not what do I have to do, but who do I want to be? And when you're constantly bringing your awareness back to that question, who do I want to be? The actions become easy. You just have to do these things because the type of man that is that type of dude does these things. So I'm just going to do these things, right? I don't want to take my creatine. I don't want to take my supplements. Well, the $1 million CEO that leads men into battle, guess what? He takes his fucking supplements. He doesn't complain about it. He just does it. And these are the type of conversations that I'm having in my life now. So if you want to dive deeper into this stuff, I've got a couple of tools and practices and things that I do. You can click the link somewhere down in the description there, get in contact with me, and I can send you over a few things. But ultimately, the one thing I want to leave you with is identity, right? This isn't about the stress or the life circumstances. This is about who do you want to be as a man? What type of man do I want to be? Who do I want to be so that I can accomplish specific, powerful, actionable things in the world? So I really hope that helps. Hope that really makes sense in your life. I'd love for you to comment down in the description. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer. If you have any video topics that you want me to make videos on, I'm going to be trying to produce 1 to 2 videos a week for the next year. I think that's like my rough goal. And really try to grow this community and really try to help men because they hold a deep place in my heart. So if you like the video, hit that like button, drop me a comment, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Cheers.